Egg foo young is a classic Chinese-American restaurant dish. And back in the 1980s, one creative Chinese restaurant owner in St. Louis decided to turn egg foo young into a sandwich. He called this creation the St. Paul sandwich after St. Paul, Minnesota, a place he'd obviously lived and loved very much before moving to St. Louis. Now, I had this sandwich at Fortune Express in St. Louis, where I met with owners Anthony and Rudy Liu. Anthony makes his own secret spice blend that he wouldn't tell us anything about. Our version today is based on that sandwich. We're going to start with our egg foo young base. So in this bowl, I have 4 eggs. And to that, I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of granulated garlic. So we've got the spices in with our eggs. We're going to just beat those up to combine. Okay, and to the eggs, we're going to add 1 cup of chopped onion. Next, we're going to add 1 cup of mung bean sprouts. I've gone ahead and rinsed these off ahead of time. And we're just going to give them a coarse chop. And then we'll add those right to the eggs. You know, usually it's some variation of pork or chicken that goes into egg foo young. We're going to add 5 ounces of ham steak that I'm going to dice into 1/2-inch pieces. Okay, we can add that ham steak right to our egg mixture. Make sure everything's combined. At the restaurant, what they typically do with egg foo young is they pour the egg portion into a relatively deep ladle. They lower that ladle into an oil-filled wok, and they deep fry that omelet into a nice, perfect circle. And they cook this omelet for quite a bit of time, longer than you need to cook the eggs, but it changes the texture to make it something a little bit more meaty and hearty, and really gives it a nice flavor. So rather than deep fry our egg foo young, we're going to make it a little bit more home-cook friendly, and we're going to do a shallow fry. We've got a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil here that's heating up in the skillet over medium heat. Once that begins to smoke, we're going to add our egg foo young. We're going to use a 1/2 cup portion, and we're going to dollop 4 equal portions of egg foo young in 4 corners of the skillet here. And these portions of eggs will run together a little bit, but we'll take care of that when we start to flip. And if you have any extra, you could just dollop evenly around the skillet. We're going to really give these eggs some nice browning. We're going to let them go for a good 5 minutes with the lid on until they get really, really nicely browned on bottom. All right, it's been a good 5 minutes, and you can see the egg is puffy. It's really nicely browned around the edges. And because some of that egg did run together, we want to just use the end of our spatula here to separate those pieces so we have our individual portions for the sandwiches. And then we're just going to flip those over. And as we flip these, it's helpful to get a second spatula so you can lift and then gently lay those pieces of egg foo young down without causing a big splatter. So we're going to let that go for another 3 minutes on the second side to get a similar amount of browning. Okay, it's been another 3 minutes. Let's see that our egg is nice and cooked and puffy and well browned. We're going to transfer our egg foo young patties to a paper towel lined sheet tray here. We just want to wick away any of the excess grease that's on them. Okay, so it's been just a minute and our egg foo young is drained on our paper towels. And so now we're ready to start assembling our St. Paul sandwiches. We're going to use basic white bread. There's some fancier restaurants out there that try to use like Texas toast and whatnot, but in the end, I found that the simple, inexpensive white bread is the best for this sandwich. So we're going to hit each side of this bread with a little bit of mayonnaise, about a 1/2 cup of shredded lettuce. Okay, next we could put an egg foo young patty on top of each bed of lettuce. Next we're going to add a couple of slices of tomato on top. And then finally, not 3, not 5, but 4 pickles per sandwich. Now we could cap each one of these sandwiches. Give it a gentle pat down. There we go. Look how gorgeous this sandwich is. This is one of the best sandwiches I've ever eaten. All the flavors in that egg foo young patty, the little tartness of the pickles, the creaminess of the mayonnaise, and the crunch of the lettuce. It's absolutely so good. So there you have it, a tribute to St. Paul, Minnesota by way of St. Louis, Missouri. Start with the egg foo young patty, shallow fry it in a nonstick skillet, and don't forget the pickles. From Cook's Country, one of the great hidden sandwiches of America, the St. Paul sandwich.
Thanks for watching Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen. So what'd you think?
Leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or just say hi.
Now you can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
Alligator.